How's everybody doing today? It is November 30th, 2020, and I have a bunch of different articles that I have pulled together for you to kind of show you the paper trail that I have followed. Just going through the headlines and looking up a little bit more research on certain states about the rollout of the vax, okay, that we know is coming. If you saw my video from yesterday, you can see how we truly are at the door. We've been talking about it forever, how we knew this is where it was going to end up, but it now is officially here. Okay, so we're going to start here. Warning of a surge on top of a surge. U.S. health officials caution Thanksgiving travelers. Okay, we've been talking about this, how we knew this was just another one of their setups, how they set it up in the mainstream media telling everybody, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't gather, you shouldn't celebrate, these things with anybody but just a couple people in your own house. And, if you don't do that, then we are going to be put in a horrible situation. Well, then to come, a week or two later, it's always, well, we didn't listen. Everybody, traveled. Everybody did it. And you're going to see that. I'm going to get into that here. So you can always see how they put it out in front of us. They don't, their tactics have not changed. Okay, let's read a little bit of this. It says, top federal health officials on Sunday forecast a post-Thanksgiving spike in CV infections, death, and stress on hospitals and medical staff. At the same time, they said that it was still possible to blunt the deadly rise with tried and true measures of mask wearing and social distancing. Dr. Deborah Birx, the White House CV response coordinator, urged Americans to take it upon themselves to protect yourselves and your family, even in states and cities where authorities had not required any such measures. During an appearance on CBS's News Face the Nation, Dr. Birx seemed to be speaking to the political divide in the country, directly addressing incredibly independent and fabulous Americans who may be skeptical of measures to limit the spread of the virus. Taking perhaps the strongest line of several top officials who spoke on Sunday, she said that travelers have to assume that you were exposed and you became infected and you really need to get tested in the next week. She urged the travelers avoid anyone in their family over 65 or with underlying illnesses. Okay, did you hear that? Listen to this. She comes right out and she's saying that you have to assume you were exposed and that you already are infected and that you need to go get tested. Wow, I think that's not pushing an agenda, pushing fear. It says it can take a week or more after infection for the virus to show up in testing, and many cases are asymptomatic. So people who feel fine or test negative 1 or 2 days after returning home may still be carriers. Of course, you got the boogeyman virus, that's what we've been dealing with since the beginning. Every symptom in the world is part of it and might tell you have CV, including no symptoms. Nothing shows up. You don't feel anything. You don't test it. It's just ridiculous. Here we go. Dr. Anthony Fauci said that the clusters of new infections driven by the Thanksgiving holiday could emerge ahead of Christmas. We might see a surge superimposed upon the surge that we're already in. It says so far, in the month of November alone, the total number of CV cases in the United States has surpassed 4.1 million, with more than 25,500 deaths. Over the last 2 weeks, the CV cases increased 12%, deaths 29%, and hospitalizations 38%. Since the pandemic began, more than 13.3 million Americans have been infected and more than 265,000 have died. You just hear all this, just nothing but numbers, confusing, just throwing all this, these digits out, which most of these numbers mean stuff. They love, the numerology and being able to throw that in your face. And, it goes on, it says California on Sunday became the first state to report over 100,000 cases in a week, according to the New York Times database. It says it's not too late to slow the surge, Dr. Fauci said, pleading for mask wearing and physical distancing. Otherwise, he said, local lockdowns might be necessary. If we can hang together as a country and do these kinds of things to blunt these surges until we get a substantial portion of the population vaxxed, we can get through this. Just listen to that. Oh, just hold on. Just keep trusting us. Listen to us. It's too bad. We're sorry that you lost your job. You lost everything you've ever worked for. And we're telling you to stay in your house. Don't talk to anybody. Oh, sorry about that. But just hold on a little bit longer. Just give us another couple weeks. Then it'll be another month. Then it'll be another year. You know. In another appearance on ABC's This Week, Dr. Fauci said the best course for Thanksgiving travelers might be, if it's possible, to quarantine yourself for a period of time. And how look at this, how he's he's on ABC, he was on, Meet the Press, They sure got him up there, don't they? Putting all this programming so everybody knows what is going on. Goes on, says children are not expected to be vaccinated for months because they have not been a major part of the vax trial. But Dr. Fauci said that he expects to move that process forward in January by starting safety and immune response trials in children for the Moderna vax, testing your children like guinea pigs. If the vax proves safe and the immune response is similar to that in adults, a large trial involving tens of thousands of children would not be necessary. Well, guess what? It will be, because you're going to do everything you can to make sure you can give this vax to as many people as possible. That's all there is to it. You want this in as many people as possible, and, we can see it. There is no hiding it anymore. And check this out. It says Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York announced on Sunday that he would reopen the city's public elementary schools, abruptly shifting policy in the face of widespread criticism that the city was giving more priority to the economic activities like indoor dining than to the well-being of its children. How crazy is this, right? They're coming out saying how horrible it is. It's horrible. We're surging, blah, blah, blah. But you're going to open the schools? This is just, I don't understand how anybody can believe this anymore, that any of it has any common sense, any logic at all to see that what they're saying and what they're doing do not line up. It says the mayor said the city would abandon a 3% test positivity threshold that it had adopted for deciding when to close the school system, the largest in the country with 1.1 million students. Are you hearing this? The largest system in the country, okay, school system, 1.1 million children, and they're opening it back up, even though they're saying it's so bad and you can't even go and have dinner with your family. You can't even go spend Thanksgiving or Christmas because it's so bad. But they want you to send your children to school. Wow, I don't understand it. I don't see how anybody can be falling for this. And he said the school system would aim to give most parents the option of sending their children to school 5 days a week, which would effectively end so-called hybrid learning. Look at this. Would aim to give most parents. Don't you like that? You can always see how they tell you the truth right there. Most parents. So they're just going to decide, well, no, we don't want to do that. You're going to do what we tell you to do. And if you don't, then your child can't go to school, or we'll take your children away from you. Whatever it gets to, we're going to see that. All right? But they're planning this every day, okay? Okay, we're going to jump from this, all right? I will leave the links in the description like I always do for you. But I want to keep going. We're going to get back to the implementation of this, the vax that's coming, okay? And they kept talking about how they need to do this, right? How they're figuring this out, all right? And right here, okay, this is them following up. Look at, they're talking about, look at Fauci worries that Thanksgiving may be the start of a dark holiday season if CV19 cases continue to soar. So now we have heard the dark winter and now a dark holiday season. I don't think those are coincidences that they're talking the way that they are, okay? And you just keep going. Look at this, This is them telling us right here that we didn't listen, that we weren't doing what we were supposed to do. Because when they told us to stay home and not go and do your Thanksgiving with your family, people did anyways. People went and they traveled, It says that millions passed through the airports despite them telling us not to, Look at, I have concerns. Americans crowding airports for Thanksgiving despite CDC plea to stay home. It says, in spite of a plea from the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention to stay put over Thanksgiving, Americans appear to be traveling to be with family and friends for the holiday. On Monday and Tuesday, almost 1 million travelers passed through security checkpoints at U.S. airports each day. So, what do we say? We already saw these headlines. You and I talked about them. We all said, yep, these would be the headlines. Well, we told you so. You didn't listen. Well, now you know what the answer is. There's nothing else besides locking you down, forcing this vax. We're sorry. We gave you the options. You never listened. You know? And here we go. Look, HHS Secretary asked Americans to stay on guard at Thanksgiving as officials prepare for the CV vax rollout. It's coming. It's here. And we're going to show how it is happening all over the world at the same time, okay? Like this. They are creating these task forces everywhere. Like right here. That's from today. Actually from yesterday, sorry. It says, CB Task Force promises rapid December vax rollout. So here we go. Look at, they're a rapid one, so fast. We're going to get all of this done. We're going to get, everybody injected with these vaxes. But I want you to see how this is ever. Look at Rhode Island. House of Representatives forms a CV vax task force. Each state is doing one of these, okay? Then, it's not just in the United States, all over the world. Here's, Ontario, so Canada. General Hillier to lead Ontario's CV19 vax distribution task force. They just keep going. Look at this. Is Connecticut back in the United States. CV Task Force planning distribution options for vax once they are approved for the public. Look at Toronto creates task force to plan for CV19 vax distribution. So just nonstop, right? So I said, you know what? I want to look into this. I want to dig into this. Let's see if I could find the actual plans. Have they put out any plans saying what they're going to do? Not just that they've created this task force to plan for it. Have they put out the plans? Okay, and then I see this. Look at New York's mass vax plan has been in place for years. Unreal, right? Right in the headlines, just showing you. Throwing it in your face. Look at Albany, New York, and other states have for decades been planning for a mass vax under emergency response programs honored after the 9/11 attacks, which ignited fears of bioterrorism on American soil. You still don't think that every false flag, every one of these crises that they've committed, that they're not all tied into one master plan? This should show you right there. They just told you right to your face, this has all been planned. And what did they planned it through? Why did they, get to plan it like this? Because of the 9/11 attacks that we won't get into, that we know aren't anything like they tell you is what that happened, okay? So I started looking into New York more and more, okay? Because, you got de Blasio sending kids back to school, but, you have Cuomo coming out saying how horrible it is. So, I looked and I found this, all right? This is New York State's CV19 vax program. Okay, it was released on the 16th of October. Okay, and this thing is 96 pages, so I'm not going to obviously get into all of it. I just have a short part I want to show you today. I may bring this up in another video, but as of today, I'm going to show you one part. I'll leave the links to all these in the description, including this, because I'll tell you what, if you got the time, I would read this, because all the states, I'm sure, are going to be very similar to this plan, okay? But the part that I wanted to point out to you right now is this. Section 7, Administration of the Vax, okay? Now listen to this, please. It says, to administer the vax, New York State will rely on an established network of healthcare providers, including hospitals, LTCFs, which are nursing homes, adult care facilities, and assisted living, federally qualified health centers, community health centers, rural health clinics, private provider offices, local health departments, and other entities that will serve as vax administration sites, or VASs, okay? So when I'm reading there, I'm like, okay, that makes sense, you got all the hospitals and the clinics and everything, like that. So I'm like, at that point when I was reading it, nothing stood out too much. And I kept going. In addition, the state will work with commercial and independent pharmacies, businesses, and other organizations to enable on-site vax at these sites, okay? Other VASs right here include schools, colleges and universities, homeless shelters, correction facilities, and sites where target populations gather. Are you hearing that right there? They are telling you exactly what is coming. That is why you need to get your children out of school if they are still in these states doing this. Do you not think that they're going to come in there? Look at this. Includes the schools. Oh, well, Eric, they're just saying that, when this all happens, they'll put it all out in the public and they'll say, well, this is where you can go and get it done, like the drive-thrus. Yeah, they're going to do that, but that's not all of it. They're going to have people isolated in areas. What do you think the homeless are going to be able to do? You think they're going to be able to say no? No, they're going to go to these homeless shelters and tell them flat out, if you don't do it, you're breaking some law and we're getting rid of you, okay? How many more homeless people do you think are going to disappear when they go to those homeless shelters? How many, people in the correction facilities that they want to get rid of, how many of those are going to be, just taken care of? Or targeted populations. Yeah, I love how they said that, right? We've been talking about that forever. It's whoever they want to target, which is you and I. So I just could not believe that, showing that there. And there is a couple other parts that you really need to hear on this. So I'm going to do a follow-up video on it. And I'll go over a bigger, portion of this. Because right here, this entire section was just, oh wow, it was proof of everything we talked about. It says data and information technology, IT infrastructure, and this tells you everything, how they are tracking your every move. They will know where you ate, where you drank, where you slept, what you bought. It does not matter. And they're being able to do this because of this so-called pandemic. Everybody, you've lost all of the rights that you had. Please, today, try to protect your family. Try right now. Go and make a plan. No fear, no panic. If you panic or fear at this point, it is only going to hurt you, and you have nothing to fear. As long as you have your faith, as long as you know that Jesus is in your corner, and you never have to worry about it. Trust me, good defeats evil. In the end, Jesus wins. There are no more chapters that are going to be added onto the end of the Bible. Everybody, I love you all. Thank you for all the support. So glad to be back on here again. I'm going to continue to get these videos out as quick as I can and get as much out as I can for you. Everybody stay strong, stay safe, stay ready. No fear, no panic. We'll talk to you soon. God bless.